Denver Nuggets ended the series in 5 games the other day against the Miami Heat. And Denver overall, defensively and offensively, had control. And I'm Keith Savage, alongside me is Andrew, ready to break down some of these plays?
Yes, sir, man. Looking forward to it, man. First off, God, definitely send our congrats to Denver Nuggets, 2023 NBA champions, first title in franchise history, breaking the longest drought in the NBA currently for teams without an NBA championship. So, shout out to the Nuggets, well deserved. They were the best team in the league this year. So, definitely looking forward to getting into some of these clips.
Yeah, I'll start off in the very beginning of this game. Miami had the lead for most of the start, but overall on this screen right here, the big part of this game was how they played the pick and roll with Jimmy Butler, I thought, and right here was a perfect reason.
No, yeah, I mean, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, man, but there was just so much emphasis in this series for Jimmy to be a shot creator for the Heat. And I think, Jimmy did the best he could, obviously just kind of trying to battle through that injury that he had. Injury, quote unquote. I think a lot of people know he injured his ankle earlier in the playoffs. And I think it's clear that was bothering him. But, we mentioned this a little bit last game, but the Heat run a lot of sets to try to get their shooters in motion, whether it's Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson. But outside of Jimmy, those guys aren't really creating offense. And as we'll see later on in this clip, the Heat kind of struggle to kind of create offense outside of Jimmy. So I think this is kind of one of those examples.
Yeah, it was a big part. Jimmy struggled for most of the game outside those few shots he made later in the fourth, but overall, he couldn't find much offensively. But right here, I thought Michael Porter Jr. did a great job. He sees right here Jimmy Butler sleeping and Jeff Green at an easy dunk.
Yeah, Jamal Murray did a great job on setting the flare screen right there in transition. I think that just speaks to the Nuggets offense overall, man. Like, if you watch Jamal Murray, he's going to come down here and transition as we're watching this play unfold. And watch this flare screen that he sets on Jimmy that kind of gives Jeff Green the advantage running to the basket. So I think it's just little heads up plays like that. You're a guy in Jamal Murray, who's the second star outside of Jokic. He's not, most guys are running down the court, tapping for the ball and, calling for the ball. But for him to, have a heads up play right there and set that flare screen so that Jeff Green can get downhill is huge. And I think another thing to notice is the spacing on the court. You have KCP in the corner on the last play. We always talk about gravity. So you have a guy like KCP who's spacing the floor. He's not, in a weird position. He's not in the short corner. He's always facing the corner, which kind of takes away that help defender for Jeff Green to be able to kind of get that basket right there. So these are just small things that you can notice from the Nuggets system, man. They have great spacing, and they all know how to play well, off the ball. So, hats off to Jamal Murray and Jeff Green and KCP for, executing that play.
Yeah, overall, great. One day, too, Michael Porter Jr. always known for not passing the ball, but I thought in game 5, he brought the ball up sometimes off rebounds and had solid passes that involved the offense. And he had one play that's not in this corner three to KCP in the fast break. Overall, Porter Jr. is not known for a passer. Sometimes the fast break, he's not that bad. Let's move on to the next play right here. It's just Jokic just breaking the zone right here, getting the 1-2 Christian Brown.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think Jokic is clearly one of the most unselfish players in the league because, I mean, he has a wide open shot right here. You could literally just float this ball right over the top. If I'm the coach, I'm telling him to shoot that. But, luckily Christian Brown gets the ball right back to him. But I think Jokic just his entire series did a great job of just sitting right in the middle of that heat zone and finding a pocket, and that's the best way to beat a zone is, trying to find the sweet spot around that triangular area from the 2 blocks to the free throw line. And the whole series, Jokic did a great job of just getting in there, finding the gap, and making plays out. So, I think that kind of was one of the biggest keys to the series as well. The Nuggets finding ways to just take advantage of that heat zone every time down the court.
Yeah, it's just Jokic is breaking that zone, and even Gordon had a few plays. But overall, the zone was so good against the Celtics. Denver was just killing it. We'll move on to the next play. Back on the defensive side, see Aaron Gordon fighting through the screen right here. Overall, Jokic a little help, and Jimmy's just forced to give Strus a bad shot right there to end the shot clock. And this is the defense is phenomenal.
Yeah, I think Aaron Gordon doesn't get enough credit for the defender that he is. I think granted, I don't think Jimmy was 100%, but he does a great job of just, fighting through that screen, getting under. He knows Jimmy's not going to, shoot the three ball off of the dribble right there necessarily, this early. in the shot clock. He's able to kind of contest with length at the basket. And again, man, you know, it's tough because Jimmy, though he can create, I don't think that's really what you really want if you're the Heat. Is Jimmy Butler trying to create shots for everybody else throughout the entirety of the game. Max Strus is another guy who struggled to make shots, quite frankly, throughout this series. He was kind of non-factor, which was why Duncan Robinson got a lot of those minutes. Obviously, he missed a huge corner three that will get you later on in this film breakdown, but towards the end of that game. But I think there's just lots to expect for Jimmy to kind of be able to forced to create every time down the court, especially with a guy like Aaron Gordon on him, who's just as athletic. He's taller than him, stronger than him, longer arms, things like that. So I think he kind of created problems for Jimmy the whole series.
Yeah, his defense, something that he even talks about how he guarded some of the best players in the league that he's gonna be telling his kids about in the future. And overall, just the pick and roll is a big part of Jimmy's game. We loved getting those mid-range shots, but Denver did a good job here. But now moving on to Denver's pick and roll, you can do plays all day with just Jokic and Murray. You have pick and roll, pick and pop, whatever you want with the screen game. But overall, you couldn't ask for much more from these two right here. You get the pop, but overall, Bam has to focus a little on Jokic, and this is an easy layup for Jamal.
Yeah, it's tough, man, because you're putting Bam in a position where he has to make a decision. You know what I'm saying? Jokic is normally trying to get into that pocket, so Bam is worried about that clearly, but it's definitely on Bam to kind of stop the ball, and keep Jamal Murray from turning that corner. But again, like this seems like a simple pick and roll, which it is, but again, look at how spaced the floor is here. For the Nuggets, KCP spaced in that corner. He's not coming up. I think a lot of people take that for granted. You're taking away helping opportunities for other guys to be able to rotate into the picture, when the floor is spaced that well. So, these small details are things that, most fans wouldn't really recognize, but it's super important, when you're trying to execute a pick and roll and take advantage of it. And that's exactly what the Nuggets have been able to do this entire series.
That's just a big part that they did in general. And just again, having that duo, Jokic or Murray, you always got to be aware of both of them being just a lethal shooter. And even Gordon, the just lob at any time, and he can shoot that corner three. So overall, the offense has been impressive. And right here, you just get Jokic, easy post up right here. Legitimately, it's just there's nothing you can do about him. I think I show this play because overall, you have one of the best defenders in the league, and Jokic just shows that he can match with him.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, man. If you're gonna leave Bam Adebayo, I don't care how good of a defender he is, but if you're not gonna send a second defender, then that's gonna be a bucket every time down the court. You're almost damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if you come help and you send a double, Jokic is gonna whip the ball to one of those shooters that are spaced out on the weak side. And then if you leave him to play one-on-one, that's what happens. So it's a I mean that's why he's a two-time MVP. That's why he's Finals MVP. It's because he's able to manipulate the game, and really do whatever he wants. It was funny because you could tell, I think Michael Malone or those guys probably took offense to when one of the reporters asked Eric Spoelstra if I think it was after one of the games earlier in the series, it might have been game two, when Jokic had 40 and they lost, and they go, "Yeah, was it your game plan to make Jokic a scorer?" He's like, "Man, you can't make him a scorer. Like he's gonna do whatever he wants out there on the court. He's an amazing player. If he wants to score, he's gonna score, and if he doesn't want to score, he's gonna pass the ball to the other guy." So, I mean, that's just the matchup problems that Jokic creates, and took advantage of it there.
Yeah, he's just impossible to guard. Nikola Jokic in general. He can legitimately do everything that you ask for, especially in a big man. Just you send that double, he's gonna find that guy who's open. Just 9 out of 10 times, he's not gonna throw a bad pass. And if you double team, it's just gonna make you pay. And it's also if you leave him one-on-one, he's gonna drop 40 points on. He's just impossible to guard the best player in the league. But now moving on again, just Jokic's defense on this pick and roll game overall. I don't think it's talked about on MPJ. It's a great layup to end it off.
Yeah, man. And again, I think, I know I sound like a dead horse continuing to repeat myself, but you have, Gabe Vincent here trying to create. And again, like, it's not that he can't create, but these are guys who aren't really used to being in these situations with the ball in their hands. This is this is a Heat team who was severely missing Tyler Hero throughout this playoff series, time and time again when they needed a basket. Too many times at the end of the shot clock, it ended in either a turnover a missed shot, or I mean, even in Kyle Lowry's case, getting the shot sent back by Aaron Gordon. I mean, that's just not what you want in these situations. So I think it's clear that, and maybe we'll get to this a little bit later. I'll drop a little bit of a nugget at the end of this, but this offseason, man, the Heat are definitely going to be in search of another ball handler, another creator, another guy that can initiate offense if this team is going to ever be able to get over that hump, and win the NBA championship.
Yeah, I totally agree, Jimmy. You say he was banged up overall. I don't think you can have him as your sole offensive guy. I think Bame's a really good scorer, but some nights he's just totally off. That mid range that's how his game goes down to if he's gonna have a good offensive night. Because I think if his mid range keeps getting improved, then he could be more of a lethal scorer and be a good 1-2 with Jimmy. But I think they need to make a trade for another scorer. Like who knows if Bradley Beal could come, they can build a big three. But Jimmy's getting up there in age in general. You want to do something to keep it around because I don't think Caro can be that guy in the future. Even though he's a great scorer, it definitely I think he could have in general forced the game six. I think this game in general, game five, they could have easily won. Denver is missing open shots the whole game, and Miami's couldn't do anything. But yeah, let's move
Yeah.
on to the next play right here. I thought overall the ball movement right here was beautiful, and you just find a wide open Nikola Jokic when you have that good ball movement.
Yeah, and I think this is a incredibly high IQ play. Again, I talked about this earlier. Just finding that hole in the zone. Sometimes it might be up at that elbow area. Sometimes it might be at the free throw line, top of the key. But Jokic kind of slips in right around that block area, and Jamal Murray does a great job of kind of looking him off originally, and Jokic just pops right back into that pocket, right in the hole of the zone. So I think it's important to, number one, a lot of times when teams play zone, you have guys standing like statues at the elbow or standing like statues at the free throw line. But again, that gap might change. Sometimes it might be at the free throw line. Sometimes it might be around that second hash mark around the lane. And Jokic does a great job of just hovering around that baseline, hovering around the paint, and finding the gaps in the zone. So, again, another super heady play by Jokic. And I mean, he made this zone almost, unplayable for the Heat because I mean, they were just dissecting it every opportunity that they got.
Yeah, Jokic is gonna find those sweet spots every single time. It's just so hard to stop him on or off ball, and it's always gonna make you pay. But another play right here, I thought the ball movement again was great. Bruce Brown, a little pump fake and fine, scoring for an easy Jamal Murray three. That's all you can really ask for. But overall, just the ball movement so lethal for Denver.
Yeah, I think this is a concept that a lot of coaches in the NBA refer to as good to great, right? Bruce Brown has a shot that probably 8 players out of 10 are going to shoot that in the corner on that driving kick. You're playing inside out. That's what a lot of coaches say. You want to play inside out, driving kick. It doesn't always mean getting into the post. It just means getting the paint touch and kicking the ball out. So Bruce Brown gets a shot. It's a good shot. He could shoot it, but instead he drives the closeout, kicks it out, and then you get the hockey assist, the swing. And the extra pass is able to get Jamal Murray a three. So literally you, again, going from good to great, getting the swing. That is one of the things that I think makes Denver great. This team is so unselfish. Anybody can shoot the ball on their team. The ball doesn't stick. And I think, on the contrary, I think that's kind of what's keeping back the Boston Celtics from really taking that next step. Because I think Boston arguably probably had the best roster in the NBA, collection of talent. You have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown who can both go and get their own shot. But, way too many times in the postseason, the ball just sticks, and guys shoot the ball. Jaylen Brown doing off his foot, trying to play ISO ball. And you just don't see that with the Denver Nuggets. These guys are driving closeouts, kicking it out, and getting wide open shots. And you only do that, when you're willing to kind of turn down good shots to get great shots. And also when you allow the ball to change sides of the floor, right? This ball goes from Bruce Brown in the corner all the way around the arc to Jamal Murray on the left wing. So when you're able to kind of make the defense change sides, make the defense close out, driving those closeouts, going inside out, you're able to get shots like that. So, I mean, just flawless offense by the Denver Nuggets here.
Yeah, this offense can do everything in general. And that's why I in general outside of those KD teams could be the best team you've seen in the last 5 years outside of those KD Warriors. It's just this team was so good. They knew how to fit Nikola Jokic play style, and having Jamal Murray back from injury was huge. But overall, it's just this offense is so good. You're always going to see a great plays coming with these guys. And again, going back on the pick game with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, he misses the shot, but I think Bruce Brown right here getting that putback was just a thing that almost sealed this game.
Yeah, man, this is probably the biggest, rebound of Bruce Brown's career. But I think a lot, goes into this play. Number one, you have Jimmy matched up on Aaron Gordon under the basket. So Kyle Lowry is here trying to wedge Aaron Gordon and put two bodies on him, but then he's giving Bruce Brown a free run to the basket. So granted, Bruce Brown is going to get this rebound and is going to show up as 2 points and one offensive rebound for Bruce Brown. But really, you got to credit this bucket to Aaron Gordon because the whole 5 games in this series, Aaron Gordon was punishing the Heat on the glass, punishing the Heat driving to the basket, just dominating the paint anywhere around that, that charge circle area. So, Kyle Lowry is trying to give Jimmy some help under the basket and put an extra body on Aaron Gordon. But in doing that, he allows Bruce Brown to get a free run to the rim. So, again, I think those are things that, the casual fan might not really pick up on, like, certain things like that. It's like, how was Bruce Brown able to get a free run to the basket, in crunch time like that? It's because you have guys like Aaron Gordon on the court that are pursuing the basketball every single possession relentlessly that you have to account for. And when you're doing that, plays like this happen. So, hats off to Bruce Brown for pursuing the basketball and not standing in the corner and watching like a lot of guys do. And the pursuit, hats off to Aaron Gordon for, being aggressive and pursuing that rebound as well. Even though he didn't get it, it's not going to show up in the stat sheet. He got his teammate a basket.
Yeah, Gordon in general in this series, I think people are gonna forget how good he really was because even what was either game 3 or 4, we dropped almost 30 points, 28, I'm pretty sure it was. His offensive presence is something they still got to be careful about. In the Orlando days, he was averaging almost 20 points a night, and he made sure he fit his role perfectly here in Denver, and he made sure he had to be that gritty guy that not really 3 and D, but overall just being that defender and able to do those gritty work for the Denver Nuggets. But now moving on to now back at the end of the game with Jimmy Butler just trying to get any offense possible. Right, you see a little screen coming from Bam, and it's just good defense right here. Max Strus just gets a tough corner 3 right here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Max Strus wasn't really shooting the ball well the whole series. You can see what the Heat are trying to do here. They first have Max Strus set the screen to get Aaron Gordon off of Jimmy. Then they try to set another screen to try to get Jokic onto Jimmy. And I mean, if I'm Jimmy, and you can tell by the angle of the screen that he's trying to force Jimmy back to the middle of the court. But Jimmy rejects the screen and drives baseline, which, ended up getting Max Strus the shot, so kudos to Jimmy. But I think, by design, the Heat are trying to get Jimmy isoed on Nikola Jokic in the middle of the court to where he has space to kind of drive either way, or kind of get into that middle of the court and get to his fadeaway. But, I think that's kind of a read thing. And I guess Jimmy felt like he could, turn the corner baseline. But again, if I'm Jimmy, you got to try to find a way to turn the corner and score, in that situation. I don't think, but I don't know. It's kind of like, again, damn if you do, damn if you don't. Because if Max Strus makes that shot, then, Jimmy's a hero and he made the right play, right? So I think this is the product of, sometimes it's a make or miss league, you know what I'm saying? And you got to knock down the shots that you get. Miami didn't make shots down the stretch. Denver did, and that's why they were able to, win the championship.
Yeah, it was tough. Strus so good in the Celtics series. Same as Mario. Both of those guys, they couldn't really shoot in the finals that well. And it's just hurt. And even though Strus just known as a great shooter, he wasn't making those shots in this series, and that one's crucial overall. Now back up to the end of the game. One of the last possessions that Miami had, Jimmy Butler just can't find anything. Tries to go fade away, slipped, and KCP gets the big time steal.
Yeah, this all but, won Denver the game. I feel like this was the play that I really thought Jimmy might have been injured because normally Jimmy's going to drive this ball to the middle of the court and he's either going to get right to the fade, right over the top of Jamal Murray right here, or he's going to just float it right over the top. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that he stopped, pivoted, showed me at number one, he might not have the lift on that fadeaway that he normally shoots, or number two, he wasn't comfortable, getting to that spot. But that's not a situation that you normally see Jimmy turn the ball over. So to me, I wouldn't be surprised if we see notification like Jimmy Butler has just had, surgery on whatever after the season, because it's just uncharacteristic for him to turn the ball over in that situation. But, again, this is also a time where, Tyler Herro was sorely missed because he's a guy that obviously can create his own shot. Not only from three, but Tyler Hero was great in the mid range, being able to pull up. And, in situations like this, everybody always talks about these analytics era, right? Where you're trying to get a 3-year layup. But situations like this in the playoffs, you got to be able to score in that mid range. And Jimmy is one of the best mid range scorers in the league, which is why I'm surprised he didn't just get to that fadeaway right over the top of Jamal Murray in the lane. But, again, missed opportunity, for the Heat for sure there.
Yeah, so a big reason why they beat Milwaukee is just coming off the screen and getting that mid-range shot was just so good. But I'm also surprised in that, Jokic was right under the hoop is, Jokic isn't really a shot blocker. Jimmy's known as being pretty athletic. Not a guy who's really going to dunk on you often, but he can still get up there. And you can see that injury. If he's healthy, he's probably going to go up and at least get a tough layup because he knows if he misses that, most likely Bam's going to get that rebound. But it's also a shot that he's probably going to make being that athletic. But overall, you could just tell that injury was something that killed him. But now, to the very last play, down by 3 right here after those 2 free throws, trying to find something. And Jimmy's just forcing a shot with way too much time left on the shot clock. And this was basically was the seal. This basically was what sealed the game.
Yeah, yeah, literally. I think here, I don't know why they went for a three here. Like number one, Jimmy clearly didn't have it going offensively. He had a good fourth quarter there, but I mean, you can get a two here, 19 seconds on the clock. You drive to the basket, you get a quick two. Now you're only down by 1 point, and you're playing the free throw game with plenty of time left. So I think number one, that just shows that Jimmy clearly wasn't confident getting downhill in that situation. And then number two, he's handing the ball off to Duncan Robinson, with the game on the line in the fourth quarter. Duncan Robinson is a catch and shoot guy, pin down guy. He's not a guy that you're going to pass the ball to out at the 5-second line to try and create. So that number one telling me that Jimmy was trying to get off of the ball there in that situation. So I mean, I feel for him because, like I said, I don't think Jimmy was at his best. But again, if you're out there on the court, you can't make excuses as far as injuries. And I think this is number one, an IQ play, because if I'm Jimmy, I'm getting to that basket, trying to get a foul or, get a layup, at least put some pressure on the Nuggets in that situation. As you can see here, they're both in the bonus, right? So even if you drive to the basket and get fouled, you're shooting 2 free throws. So I think any of those options, getting a basket, a layup, or going to the foul line is better than a fadeaway contested three over Aaron Gordon, who has a wingspan advantage and a height advantage over you. You know what I'm saying? But again, kudos to the Nuggets. They defended that place very well, and it's unfortunate that the Heat kind of got put in these situations at the end of the game. But again, I think that's just you gotta tip your hat to the Nuggets, right? Great defense when the game's on the line. They got the stops when it mattered most.
Yeah, exactly like that. Again, I'm still surprised that Jimmy took that 3. Definitely a contested 3-pointer that wasn't really needed at all because, again, so much time left, 19 seconds. And even if they make it a 1-point game, outside of KCP, none of these guys were in the NBA Finals before. Solid free throw shooting team. But overall, you still would have just been down by 1 possession. Maybe they missed one of the shots and down by 2. And I just think that shot is just legitimately was decided this game. Bruce Brown went down, made those 2 free throws. There's Jimmy Butler, that injury, if there's a severe one, it's just overall it's a killer. But I think that's more of a mentality thing that on that shot. Again, he had so much time left, could have done something better. Talking about Duncan Robinson, again, you give him the ball way too high right there. He's not gonna create a step back. But again, especially against a guy like KCP, it's just I don't know. Overall, I thought Jimmy Butler that last play is gonna haunt him all the way till maybe the rest of his career. It's just a tough play in general.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but at the end of the day, I think that what we can say is this, right? The Denver Nuggets were the better team. They won this series. I think the Miami Heat, despite what we say about them, making some key turnovers down the stretch or whether Jimmy's hurt or not, right? Like they got the absolute most out of this roster this season. This is a team that was literally 3 minutes away from not even making the playoffs. They were losing to the Chicago Bulls in that playing game, right? And I think a lot of people forget that on this run to the finals that they were close to not even being in the playoffs and we're not even having this discussion. So the fact that they're even able to get this roster to the finals and win a game, on the road against Denver, they squeezed the absolute hope out of this group. They got every ounce that they could out of this group, and at the end of the day, Denver was just a better team. They had more all around the court, and the better team won. So again, hats off to the Nuggets. 2023 NBA champs. We'll be able to see, looking forward to next season if they're able to repeat, and if they can kind of run off a couple of these. As you heard Mike Malone say, they're not satisfied with just one, and they have a core group, that if they bring back Jamal Murray, Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., man, Aaron Gordon, then they're gonna have a group that can run it back next year. So it's gonna be interesting to see for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and two, the team that matched up best with Denver was Milwaukee, and Miami took them out right away. And I just don't think Miami able to match up with Denver. It's just not as talented of a team. But going on to next year, I think the matchup, I think I could see Milwaukee pulling Virginia in college, coming back after losing in the first round, getting upset. I think it could be Denver versus Milwaukee in the next year finals. I think that could be a series that's gonna go down to the wire. Two of the best Europeans we've ever seen. So I just think Denver is gonna be back here again if it's on next year in 2 years. This team still, Jokic only 28. They know how to build around him, and nobody knows how to play against them. I don't see anybody being able to play against them these next few seasons to come. But I just think Denver is a team that's not going anywhere anytime soon with this play style. It just needs to stay healthy. They couldn't stay healthy since the bubble, so it's just a big time in general. And I just see Denver being a team that is not gonna win just one. I think it's gonna be two or three.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is, number one, I think if Giannis doesn't get hurt in that he advanced out the first round, they could probably represent the East in the finals this year.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate with injuries. The one thing I will say too is this, right? I'm not saying that they would have beat the Nuggets, but I think the one team that probably could have gave the Nuggets a little bit of trouble would have been the Warriors, only because I think with Steph Curry's ability to stretch the floor from long range and from 3-point distance, you're going to have to bring Jokic away from the basket a lot more than the Lakers were able to. Then obviously the Heat were able to. For the most part, Jokic doesn't have to really get up to defend a guy like Steph Curry, obviously on a lot of those threes. You got Clay shooting bombs away. Jordan Poole didn't have a great series, obviously versus Lakers, or a great postseason at all. But he's the guy coming back next season if they bring him back and they don't trade him. Another shooter that could kind of mix it up for the Nuggets. For the Warriors against the Nuggets. So that's one team I think would have been an interesting matchup for the Nuggets. Again, too, this now that they have championship experience, next year to be a little bit different. But I think going up against the Warriors, who had that championship experience, against the Nuggets, who this is their kind of really their first rodeo going deep in the playoffs, could have been interesting. But going into next year is definitely going to be interesting. Like I said, the Heat are definitely going to be big game hunting this offseason. Are they going to try to make a move for Bradley Beal? That's been floating around in the media a little bit. If they could, do a trade for Tyler Hero on a couple first-round picks. Maybe Duncan Robinson or Kyle Lowry could be involved in that as well. If Dame Lillard going to be on the move, could he be a guy that goes to Miami if they decide to, package that number? If Portland's having to package that number 3 pick and kind of go in the rebuild mode around, Scoot or Brandon Miller, whoever they decide to draft. It could be some names out there that are on the move. So, I think Miami will be able to, retool the roster a bit next year. The questions are going to be who they're going to, try and attract. But one thing I know for sure, South Beach is a freedom destination. There's going to be a lot of guys lining up to go live in the sunny state of Florida, the tax-free state of Florida at that.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. But going back to the Golden State, I don't think Golden State's gonna be back in the finals in the Steph Curry era. But I think the biggest thing that changed this team, they won last year, was taking Wiseman over LaMelo. They try to get a big man that fit the team instead of taking the best player available, which even LaMelo had a lot of hate, you could say, based off his high school. LaMelo was the clear best player overall, number 2 right there over Wiseman. I think if the Warriors took him, I think the Warriors could have been another dynasty because LaMelo's one of the best players, one of the best young players in this league. I think having him in Golden State would have been a game changer. But I don't see Denver losing this reign anytime soon in the West. But I'm interested to see what Sacktown does this season and the whole scenario with Ja Morant going on. And again, the big team that can't stay healthy is the Clippers. Clippers are really good. It's just that health can never be down. So overall, this West is packed. There's just so many question marks going into next season.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I think the Clippers, will have something to say about it if Paul George and Kawhi can stay healthy. Number one, I think that'll be something to watch. But man, I think the one thing is going to be health. And you said it, the one thing about the Nuggets is going to be obviously Michael Porter Jr. has had 3 back surgeries, so he's going to be able to stay healthy. Jokic hasn't had any major injuries, so that's going to be something to watch. The Kings are going to be interesting. I saw some teams throwing out Bradley Beal to the Kings as well in a potential deal. So we'll see if they retool the roster a bit and can get a little bit better. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a fun season around the NBA, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be fun to watch, but that's basically it for basketball until I'm actually looking forward to the World Cup in August. I don't know if not too far from you to around the Philippines, but overall, the USA's been on the roster. I don't think USA is gonna be a contender at all in the World Cup, but overall, that's the next basketball we're gonna see. Probably see Jokic and see all most Europeans play, but overall, we won't see much basketball these next few months outside of the summer league. So it's definitely gonna be something weird to see these next few months to see how all the teams build up.
Yeah, man. Now it's gonna be looking forward to the draft. I'm looking to see what my Wizards are gonna do. I think we're gonna go rebuild mode here. It looks like, man, we got new GM, new president, a bunch of new guys in the front office. So looks like we're shipping Bradley Beal off is what it's gonna look like. So, I think hopefully, we'll probably be taking that Denver plan. That's what I'm gonna tell myself as a Wizards fan. We're gonna rebuild it, build through the draft, hope we hit on a few picks and try to build it up over time. Maybe hopefully we can host the trophy in DC pretty soon. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm hoping for in my
Maybe
offseason.
it can be close. I've always been a big Denny Avdia guy, but I think he could have a future role, but you can't do anything with Bale and Porzingis still on that team. But that Bale contract was always questionable right off the bat because the team wasn't built for contention. But overall, Celtics, it's one they have always wanted. Been saying for years. It's Karl Anthony Towns on the Celtics making a big 3. I think if you get a trade with some Horford, Pritchard, a few picks, see what else you can build up around that. It could be possible. But overall, that's what I want for the Celtics to make that big jump, get in stretch 5. There's a kid named Vukcevic that's going in the draft. That's could be available for the Celtics 35 pick that I love a lot. So overall, I think the Celtics need a stretch that's younger. That's not Al Horford. So it'll be interesting to see. But overall, that's we're gonna have to end it off. Andrew, you have anything to add?
That's all, folks. Stay tuned. We're gonna be doing some more film breakdowns in the off season, so we'll catch you guys soon. But that's a wrap for this season. Again, congrats to the Denver Nuggets, 2023 NBA champs. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one.